Hello, I'm Tessa Rickard, a nutritionist who specialises in all things Hashimoto's disease and thyroid health. I firmly believe the right food choices and some informed, really smart food strategies can solve many of your Hashi's problems. Today, I'm following up on my last video about alcohol and its effect on your body and thyroid if you have Hashimoto's disease. So let's take a closer look at Hashimoto's alcohol and some guidelines to ensure a smoother and more enjoyable experience this coming silly season. So if you don't know how alcohol can impact your thyroid and immune health, including how it can affect your ability to maintain a healthy weight, please do check out my last video for more details and then move on to this one. I'll link it below. All right, so let's talk about drinking responsibly with Hashimoto's. So there's no point mincing my words. Alcohol is a poison. So obviously my recommendation is that no alcohol is best for your health. However, the dose makes the poison, as they say. So with anything, I do believe it is possible to reach a happy medium, and that's something that's really important to me as a nutritionist. Also, not everyone is at their point in their journey or willing to totally give up alcohol altogether, me included. I love a glass of bubbles at a special occasion. So here are my recommendations. Number one is know your limits. So understanding how alcohol affects your body is key. Be mindful of your tolerance level and how Hashis may amplify the effects of alcohol. Firstly, always bring awareness to your consumption of anything. So if you tend to drink too much and then regret it, when you do drink, you need to start to negotiate with yourself how many you'll have and then stick to it. You won't always get it right, but it's something that you have to practice. Consider limiting your alcohol intake or opting for non-alcoholic beverage alternatives. So having that extra cocktail or a glass of wine at the very end of the night may not be worth the effects on your health. When deciding how many drinks you'll have, the number you choose needs to align with your values for your own health and how you want to conduct yourself around alcohol. It's going to be different for everyone because binge drinking isn't good for anyone. So the definition of binge drinking might surprise you. So for most women, it equates to 4 standard drinks within 2 hours at least once per month. With that in mind, I would recommend that if you choose to drink, stick to 1 to 2 standard drinks, no more than 2 nights per week. All right, it's really important that you choose wisely. So if you decide that you do want to drink, then let me help you with some options which are less likely to make you feel awful the next day. So opt for drinks with lower alcohol content, such as light beer or wine spritzers, to minimize the impact on your thyroid. Avoid sugary cocktails and high-strength spirits as they can cause really big fluctuations in your blood sugar levels, exacerbate inflammation, and make you feel terrible the next day. Quality makes a really big difference when it comes to alcohol. So cheap spirits contains high levels of acetone, acetaldehyde, fusel alcohols, and methanol, which are the real hangover-inducing poisonous compounds that your body has to detoxify. So obviously, ensure any beers you are drinking are gluten-free. And if you are drinking wine, then make sure it's high quality. Splash out on a good bottle. Quality over quantity here. So the house wine is not going to cut it. Some find that red wine in particular affects them more than white wine. Riesling and Pinot Grigio tend to be lower in alcohol, so they might be a better option for you. One of my personal favorites is the Sidegate Organic Riesling from the Clare Valley in South Australia, which is a pretty reasonable price and only 11.5% alcohol content. Enjoy in moderation. High quality distilled gin or vodka will be highest in pure ethanol and less likely to cause hangovers or flare-ups. High quality gin needs to be made from ethanol made with grapes, which will make it gluten-free. Avoid sweet mixes and opt for soda water, lemon, lime, and fresh herbs to garnish. Cocktails can be really sweet and contain a lot of cheap ingredients, including 2 or 3 standard drinks each. So check with your bartender or stick to the suggestions above. Some other helpful hints include Staying hydrated. It's very simple. Alcohol can dehydrate the body, which is definitely going to worsen symptoms of Hashimoto's like fatigue and constipation. Won't do anything for your skin either. So stay hydrated by alternating alcoholic beverages with water and consuming lots of fluids throughout the day if you plan to drink that night and the next day as well. Monitor your symptoms. So pay attention to how your body responds to alcohol. Note any changes in energy levels, in your mood, or symptoms related to hashies. If you experience adverse effects, consider abstaining or reducing the amount of alcohol. This is going to be very individual. So if you're histamine sensitive, for example, you might need to consider refraining for a period of time while you work on the driver of your histamine sensitivity and your gut health. Eating before drinking. This is a really, really big one. So consuming a balanced meal before drinking can help slow the absorption of alcohol into the bloodstream, and it's really going to help mitigate its effects on your thyroid. So opt for foods rich in protein, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates to provide sustained energy. And that includes, drinking with a meal is fine, but drinking on an empty stomach is really the big no-no. So drinking late at night, hours after a meal, is a recipe for a blood sugar roller coaster. So, cue the sleep disturbances, cravings, and fatigue the next day. It's also going to be really harsh on your gut lining. Planning ahead. So this is really important. It means that you can choose to arrange social activities that don't revolve around alcohol. Brunch, a hike, or an art class or yoga with a friend. Although we've managed to make art classes alcohol-centric as well with the sip and paint craze, but you can do it differently. Alcohol consumption is just as often about socialization, and the reality is that there are other ways to joyfully connect with those you care about that have nothing to do with alcohol. Listen to your body. Ultimately, you need to listen to your body. It gives its own signals and lets you know its own limits. If alcohol negatively impacts your symptoms or your quality of life, then it's time to consider modifying your habits and your consumption. There are some great alternatives to alcohol these days. In Australia, it's a strong drinking culture. It's very deeply ingrained in our social gatherings. But now there's a much bigger market for alcohol-free options. In days gone by, you were limited to Shirley Temple mocktail or a glass of juice or that awful wine that tastes like vinegar. But these days there's a wide variety of more sophisticated non-alcoholic options to choose from. So things like sparkling water infused with fruit and herbs can be really refreshing and flavorful. Non-alcoholic beverages, including beer, wine, and gin, these can be a bit hit and miss, but don't worry, I do have some options below. Herbal tea, infused water, and specialty sodas offer a wide range of options for socializing without alcohol. I personally love an iced tea or a kombucha as well. So one of my favorite alcohol-free options is Etch Sparkling. They make non-alcoholic sparkling beverages infused with Australian natives. The range is sugar-free, preservative-free, and it's completely natural, so there's no artificial sweeteners. It's locally made on the Mornington Peninsula, and I love their ethos, which is every time choose health. I also recommend Non. So this is a Melbourne-based company who make absolutely delicious wine alternatives with a Verjus base with incredible flavor profiles. You really have to try it. I'll link them both below. Look, navigating social situations with alcohol can be frustrating, especially if you're new to your diagnosis and finding your way with your symptoms, but it doesn't mean that you have to miss out. It's more about being mindful, drinking in moderation, and enjoying maybe trying some of the alcohol-free options while listening to your body. That way you can still enjoy social gatherings this silly season while prioritizing your health. I do hope you enjoy.